Hello everyone, welcome back to a new card tutorial. Now you might have seen me sharing a couple of these on Facebook lately. These are the Floating Gatefold cards. Now they're not my concept, I've seen a lot of them online. The only thing I have done is I've been changing the measurements so that I get it to all fit into a 5x7 envelope. So this one was made using a pretty new kit from Nitwit called Gnomes Honey Bee. So I thought originally I was going to make you a nice floral one. And what's great about digital kits is once I had my templates all worked out for here, it was just a case of double clicking and changing. And I had this authentic kit to do. But then I started thinking, I thought, oh, do you know what? I fancy making a masculine one. So what I've gone for in the end is the coastal papers again. You've seen me use these before. They are some of my favourite ones. I just love the reds in this kit and I like the images as well. And I thought, floral, we see plenty of florals. People always struggle with more masculine cards, so let's go masculine. So to make this card, you will need 2 sheets of cardstock. So I'm using A4, but I'll still have plenty left over. And then your patterned papers. I know with the DigiKits, I've already measured them ahead of time and made everything fit already. But don't worry, I'll go through the measurements. So if you're using a paper pad, you can do that too. So grab your scoreboard and your trimmer and your card and we'll make the base. So to begin, we need to cut our main base. So I'm going to cut this now at 5 inches tall because we're making a 5x7 card in a landscape. So it's 5 inches by 11.5. So you see we're just trim off that tiny bit just to make measurements a bit easier. Then from my second piece, unfortunately this is just too short, so we need to go into second piece. 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And we need 2 of these. So there's 1 and 2 of them. So if I was to make another one, I've got enough there to make those 2 cuts again. And then we're just going to make 2 squares, 2.5 inches. So we're going to make it 5 by 2.5. And then just cut it in half again. So we needed 2 squares. So you can see I've still got plenty of cardstock left. So if I was going to make another one, I've already got those bits. I'd only need 1 more sheet. Okay. So we're going to start off with our base. So I've got it the long way across the top. Make sure I've got my ball tool. And I'm going to score it at 1 inch. And then I need a 1 1/4, so I'm going to go to 2 1/4. There we go. So 1 inch and 2 1/4. We're going to flip it around and repeat. 1 inch and 2 1/4. And that'll give us, in between those 2 inner score lines is 7 inches, which is why we got a 5x7. Then my 2 larger pieces, I need to score these at 3.5 and 4 3/4. So again at 3.5 and 4 3/4. Or you could just do a 1 2 1/4 again if you wanted to. There was a reason why I did it that way, but I can't remember what the reason was. And then my 2 squares I don't need to do anything with. Okay, now it's up to you. You can now use a pencil and a ruler to do the next bit, but I just like to use my scoreboard. So I've got my 1, a 1 1/4, 7, 1 1/4 and 1 back in. So I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to come across 1 1/4 and I'm going to score just down to the first score line. Then I'm going to flip it over, 1 1/4 again, just down to that first score line. And I'm going to do the same on these two, but what you've got to make sure is they're going to go on opposite sides. So if I've done it here, what I need to make sure is on this one, it's going to have the diagonal that way. On this one, I want it to go that way. So I'm going to come back 1 1/4. So there's 1/4, 3 1/2, 2 1/2 down to that score line. So on one of them, score it at 1 1/4. On the other one, 2 1/2. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. So they're now going to be opposite pieces. Okay, and I've just scored down to that first line. So now let's just grab a pencil, which I've misplaced. Here we are. And from that score line that we came across, I'm just going to do a diagonal line from where they met up to this score line. Can you see that? So from where those two meet up to the top of this score line. And remember, this one will go in the opposite direction. There's the top. And we're going to do the same on our card base. We're going to take where they met up to there, and again up to here. And what we're going to do with those 4 score line pencil lines is cut them out. So I'm going to cut down that diagonal and cut across the score line. Cut across the score line and up the pencil line, and the same and the score line. There we are. We're going to discard those bits. We don't need that. So we've got our base, we've got 2 of those shapes and our 2 squares. So let's start assembling it. So with our main piece, I'm going to bring the inside score line in and fold the outside one back. So like a concertina. Same on this one. Fold it in and fold it back. And these two, the same, we're going to fold them in, fold them back, and on this one, fold it in and fold it back. Get some strong tape, place it down that score line and down the edge of your cardstock. Same on this one, down your fold line. Now you'll notice that this tab is actually shorter than a cardstock, just because A4 cardstock wasn't enough to do the full length. If you had your 12 by 12 card, I suppose you could have just carried on. If you'd added a 1/4 inch, so 1/2 inch. So if you had your 12 by 12, yes, you could have, and you would then have scored at 1 1/4 and 2 1/2. These two, we're going to do the same. we're ready now to start assembling. So I'm going to peel back the tape. Now this one has got that diagonal, so those two match, and these two diagonals match. That's that side. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this flat. I'm going to line this corner down and line up that tall edge and line it up across the bottom. And then I'm just going to burnish it down. And you'll see that's how your gatefold starts to float. Let's do this side as well. Now, if you wanted it even more variation, what you could do is line this up with your cardstock line, and that would bring everything in even more. But because I've measured this to meet up in the middle, I'm not going to do it on this one. There we go. But you could do it with your squares now. You could bring your squares in. And if you've seen my male version, my Father's Day one with the Gentleman Folk one, that's what I've done. I've brought these two in. But on my Gnome Honey Bee, I've kept the right-hand edge up to the right-hand edge of the card. And I'm going to stick to that. So I'm just finding it easier if I turn around, line up that corner, make sure that's straight on the bottom more than anything, because otherwise you'll have a wonky card. It won't stand up. And here. There we go. And that is your gatefold floating out, your floating gatefold card. And to decorate, that's all you're going to do is measure the piece you're covering. So this was a 5 by 7, and cut your paper to 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. Then this one is 3 3/4 by 3.5. So you just take 1/4 inch off each one. But because I've done a digital one, I've been able to print them off to the right size that I want. So we're just going to cut these out. And the joys of the Digi is, as I said, next time I want to make one of these cards, I don't have to resize and measure everything again. I can just open up this file that I've saved in Microsoft Publisher and double click on the images and change them. So that's my 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 to go on the back. And you can see I've chosen the white solids, so I got a place to write. But even the solids in the Nitwit kits have some texture or some pattern to them. So it's not really a plain or a proper solid colour. And one of the front pieces. So now these are 2.5 by 2.5 because we had a 2 3/4 sized squares. 2.5, sorry, so these are 2 1/4. And the last one, because these actually go towards the middle of the card, it does mean if you want to overlap something, you can. So you can have things coming up over the edge of your topper. So if you're using a paper kit, which comes with toppers, you're okay to overlap the top and off to the left on this side or off to the right on this side, but don't go off out to the card, otherwise it won't fit into your envelope. So that's my top is done. Now, because my fussy cutting isn't the best, I've got some little white bits. So all I'm going to do, take some black soot, distressing. I'm going to go around the edge and all those white bits magically disappear. So if you are put off by fussy cutting, don't let it worry you, just use some ink and all your blemishes quickly fade away. And the last one. So let's open up my card. Let's get some glue. Let's just glue up the back. And let's open up the card so I can slot this in. Just got my Cool Cats Teflon tool. Just smear all that glue. I like the Teflon tool because it doesn't mark your card like plastic ones do. Then let's have the wording on the left. And the beach hut. Now, if you have decided to put something sticking out, make sure you don't put glue on that, because otherwise it will stick the card down. And the last one, just some two different word panels or sentiments on the front. And that is the basic decoration of your card. You could leave it at that stage. If you need a quick, simple one, there we go. And it opens up, you see all those elements coming up, and you've still got room in the middle to write your sentiment or write your greeting. But if you notice on my gnome one, I've even decorated these diagonals here. So I'll just show you quickly how I did that. Now, you don't need much cardstock for this. So, you know, I told you I couldn't decide between authentic and coastal. Well, I've got my authentic papers ready for another card. And you don't need much paper. So rather than print off a whole sheet, I've gone into the photo option and printed off one from authentic and one from coastal, because I only need a few 4 inch across, because I need 4 1-inch strips is what I'm trying to say. So let me just trim this. My blades come out. So I'm going to cut this, just cut off the white, and I'm going to cut it at 5 inches tall. So our paper is just big enough for that. And I'm just going to cut 1-inch strips. And 4. Okay. And there we are for my next card. When I do my authentic one, I've got my kit ready to go. So let's have a look at my pencil. And we're going to be doing it. So I'm taking onto the back, and I'm going to decorate, because we're going to be decorating on this piece. So I'm just going to line it up at the bottom and between my 2 score lines. So my left and right and base are even there. And I'm just going to mark a little bit shy of those 2. I could draw a line. I probably should to make it even, but I'm just going to risk it by hand. let's just get some of the black soot. And what we've got then is a nice, perfectly matted piece for there. Let's do one for this side. So again, between the two score lines with an even border all around those three sides. Mark just a little bit down. Cut. Some black ink. Now, if you know you're going to be making 2 cards using the same kit, what you can do, like instead of an authentic and a coastal, you could pick 2 different coastal papers, and you would then be able to have a different one on these tall ones and the short ones I'm about to do. But just to save paper, I've got them both cut from the same design. Here's one. It's more important you line up the top rather than the rest, because you're not going to see much of that unless you open the card up and look at the back like this. Let's put one this side. There we go. And then we're just going to do the same now on these 2 shorter ones. So glue that one on to there, and then this one onto here. There we go. There we go. And then that now, just put the lids on so things don't dry. When we close it, you'll see that design showing through there, especially when you're opening it up, you'll see. Now, of course, you can do the same again on the insides if you wanted to as well, but I think it's fine just like that. So there we have my floating gatefold tutorial using the Gnome Honey Bee and the coastal, and of course there might be a little authentic one coming up. All done and fitting into a 5x7 envelope, but opens up and stands up like so. So as always, I'd really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, if you could give me a thumbs up in the bottom of this video. That really does help the channel, and I'd love to hear your comments as well. So please write some comments below. I try to answer everyone. So, because I do like to hear what your thoughts are or any ideas you may have. And if you do make one, in the description below, you'll find a link to my Facebook group called Paper Crafting with Paul. So either click on the link below or just go to Facebook, type in Paper Crafting with Paul, and the group will come up. And if you join up in that group, you will be able to see what other people make using this tutorial and my other tutorials. It's a lovely community it's growing each day. And yeah, I'd love to see your floating gatefolds. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.